me, Head of Information Security and Compliance for Aegis Financial. My job is to protect client data, keep us within the lines of federal regulation, and ensure every system hums along perfectly. I oversee a sprawling Active Directory environment, secure millions in assets, and handle the daily grind of sophisticated insider threats. It's a precise, quiet war. I use policies, contracts, and an unshakable paper trail as my primary weapons. My team is small but sharp, and we run a tight ship. Be not me. Brad from Apex Solutions, a newly contracted digital transformation consultant, brought in by a newly appointed, overly ambitious board member looking for synergies and cost savings. Brad's primary skill seems to be radiating smug arrogance while speaking in buzzwords. He wears tailored suits that look one size too small and carries a constantly vibrating phone, which he checks even during critical security briefings. His smile never quite reaches his eyes. The moment Brad walked into my office, the air thickened. He wanted full administrator access to our production financial databases. No prior audit, no security review, just a direct demand to expedite the integration process. I politely declined, explaining our strict separation of duties and least privilege policies. I then documented the entire conversation, time-stamped, and emailed it to my superior and our legal department. My first shot across his bow, and he didn't even realize it. A week later, Brad called an emergency meeting. He presented a revolutionary proposal to migrate all client personally identifiable information, account numbers, and transaction histories to a new, ultra-low-cost cloud provider he called Atlas Cloud Services. He boasted about the projected 70% cost reduction. I pointed out that Atlas Cloud servers were domiciled in a country with notoriously lax data protection laws, completely outside our national jurisdiction, and without any bilateral data reciprocity agreements. This would violate at least 3 major federal financial regulations and numerous clauses in our client service agreements. Brad just waved his hand dismissively. Compliance is a moving target, he declared. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I documented his exact words, verbatim, and the full legal citation for each regulation he was ignoring. My team quietly began logging every access request from Apex and documenting their IP addresses. Next, Brad insisted we disable multi-factor authentication for all vendor access points, claiming it was creating friction for his team. His reasoning was that Apex had highly trained personnel who didn't need such trivial barriers. I explained that our federal mandate required MFA for all remote access to sensitive data, period. Disabling it would be a direct violation of our cybersecurity framework. He called me an obstructionist. I called my assistant to witness the exchange, then drafted a formal memo outlining the explicit policy, the regulatory requirement, and Brad's verbal directive to bypass it. I included an impact statement detailing the astronomical fines we would face. He signed a copy under duress, thinking it would make me back down. I smiled internally. He was signing his own termination papers. The breaking point arrived like a hurricane. Brad, frustrated by my lack of cooperation, leveraged his connections with the new board member. A week later, I received an email from the CEO's office, CCing Brad. It was a formal directive. Aegis Financial was immediately commencing migration of all active client financial data to Atlas Cloud Services, effective immediately. The email explicitly stated this was a strategic initiative by Apex Solutions, and that my department was to provide full, unreserved support and technical assistance. The CEO's signature was on it, but the language was pure Brad. I replied to all, thanking the CEO for the clear directive. I then listed, in bullet points, every single regulation, compliance requirement, and client contract clause that would be violated by this migration. I detailed the explicit risks, data residency issues, potential for mass data corruption due to Atlas Cloud's unknown infrastructure, and the complete lack of audited security controls. I ended by stating that my department would, as directed, provide full, unreserved technical assistance in executing Apex Solutions' plan, but formally registered my objections and the severe legal and financial risks associated. I also attached the signed memo about MFA and the documented exchange regarding data residency. Brad's reply was a terse, noted, proceed as instructed. He was so confident. He thought he had won. He thought I was beaten. I wasn't beaten. I was going read-only. My malicious compliance began in earnest. Every email from Brad, every meeting minute, every verbal instruction was meticulously documented. We kept a separate, encrypted log of every data packet sent to Atlas Cloud. Every server configuration change, every firewall rule adjustment was approved in writing by Apex before my team touched it. If Brad's team performed an action, we observed and logged it. We set up an isolated network segment to push the data, ensuring no other Aegis systems would be contaminated by Atlas Cloud's inevitable instability. We built a digital fortress around the migration path, protecting our core infrastructure from their incompetence. My evenings were spent reviewing Aegis Financial's corporate bylaws, its employee handbook, and every clause of the Apex Solutions contract. The contract had a particularly juicy clause about gross negligence leading to financial harm and failure to adhere to applicable regulatory frameworks. The employee handbook stated that employees are obligated to report known or suspected violations of law or company policy, and that such reports, when made in good faith, will be protected from retaliation. My written objections weren't just for show, they were establishing my good faith. I also revisited all of our client agreements. Each one contained an ironclad clause. Client data will be stored and processed exclusively within the national borders of country name, in accordance with all applicable federal and state laws. Every single client would have grounds for a class action lawsuit. Brad was walking Aegis into a legal minefield, and I was holding the map, precisely documenting every step he took. I made sure our internal audit logs, which Brad often tried to bypass, were pristine and immutable. Any attempt he made to access them was blocked and logged. I was preparing a flawless, incontrovertible narrative, a story of a reckless vendor, a compliant but not complicit security team, and an inevitable disaster. The trap was set, spring-loaded. The inevitable arrived on a Tuesday morning. Our client services portal went dark. Not a slow degradation, but an instant, complete outage. A full system lockout. Our internal monitoring systems, still securely residing within our own protected network, showed no issues. The problem was external. The problem was Atlas Cloud Services. News trickled in, a catastrophic hardware failure, combined with irreversible data corruption in their primary data center. All Aegis financial client data, a mountain of sensitive financial records, was gone, or at best, utterly inaccessible and compromised. The office exploded. Phones rang off the hook. Clients were panicking. Brad, sweating through his expensive suit, burst into my office. His face was a mask of furious panic. "Your team sabotaged this, didn't you?" he shrieked, spittle flying. "You deliberately dragged your feet. You withheld information. This is your fault." I sat calmly at my desk, my hands folded. "Brad," I said, my voice quiet but firm, "do you recall the formal objection I filed regarding data residency?" He stammered. "You said it was risky, not that it would vanish." "No, Brad," I corrected, pulling up a document on my screen. "I said it was a direct violation of federal financial regulations, jeopardizing client data integrity and exposing Aegis Financial to catastrophic legal and financial liabilities due to non-compliant offshore data storage and inadequate security protocols." Your exact words in response were noted. "Proceed as instructed." The timestamp glowed on the screen, clear as day. "And the multi-factor authentication you demanded we disable." I continued, showing him another memo, this one bearing his signature. "Federal mandate, Brad. You ignored it. We documented your insistence. Your team's credentials for Atlas Cloud were compromised last night. The hardware failure was likely an insider attack, facilitated by the very security weakness you forced upon us." He looked at the documents, his face draining of color. I presented the full log of his instructions, every email, every verbal command, every ignored warning. Each one meticulously recorded, dated, and cross-referenced with the corresponding policy or regulation he violated. The CEO, who had rushed to my office, stood in stunned silence as I laid out the case. I even had logs of Brad's team making direct, unauthorized configuration changes on Atlas Cloud's side, bypassing our team entirely, which Apex had formally approved. The fallout was swift and brutal. Within hours, our general counsel was involved. Regulatory bodies were notified, but thanks to my extensive documentation, Aegis Financial was able to demonstrate extraordinary due diligence and malicious compliance. We had a paper trail proving every warning was given, every policy cited, and every instruction from Apex was executed under formal protest. With clear disclaimers of risk, the Apex Solutions contract was terminated, effective immediately, for gross negligence and willful disregard of regulatory compliance. Brad and his entire team were escorted out by security, their access badges deactivated before they even reached the lobby. His tailored suit looked a lot less impressive then. Update: 3 weeks later. Aegis Financial is in crisis mode, but our core systems were untouched. We're working with clients on data recovery from our protected backups, which Brad never got access to, and damage control. Apex Solutions is being sued by us, by our clients, and by Atlas Cloud, who are claiming Apex misrepresented their needs. Brad's LinkedIn profile is gone. Heard a rumor he's living with his parents. Update: 2 months later, the Federal Financial Regulatory Agency levied a massive fine against Aegis Financial for the data breach. But it was drastically reduced thanks to my documented dissent and immediate reporting. The agency noted our exemplary internal security protocols and singled out Apex Solutions for severe penalties. Apex filed for bankruptcy. Brad is reportedly facing criminal charges for data negligence and breach of fiduciary duty, potentially disbarred from working in finance again. Update: 6 months later. Aegis Financial has recovered. Our client trust, battered but not broken, is slowly rebuilding. My team got significant bonuses, and I received a promotion to Chief Information Security Officer. Yesterday, I drove past a struggling phone repair kiosk on the outskirts of town. Through the greasy window, hunched over a cracked screen, was Brad. His tailored suit was gone, replaced by a stained polo shirt. He didn't look up. Some mountains, you just let them fall.